The animal kingdom is littered with examples of species that provide parental care for its young. Parental care behaviors include maintaining ideal environmental conditions like temperature regulation during early development, provisioning offspring with food, or defending offspring from predators. Such parental care behaviors maximize survival of offspring and are adaptive, but if parental care is interrupted by an unexpected absence of the caregiver, important ecological and evolutionary impacts are the result. First, lowering the number of surviving offspring can directly impact population size. And second, any parental care trait that increases survival rates for an individual's offspring will result in a larger contribution to the next generation and higher evolutionary fitness. Largemouth bass are an excellent model organism to study the effect parental care has on both population dynamics and the evolution of adaptive traits. As a widely popular North American freshwater sport fish, anglers may affect population dynamics at multiple life stages by interrupting parental care and or by harvesting adults at high rates. Anglers may also serve as an agent of selection when targeting nesting bass during parental care. Each spring, as water temperatures increase, male largemouth bass scrape out a nest in the shallow areas of lakes and streams. Males externally fertilize eggs deposited by females, who leave the area immediately after spawning is complete. The male remains for 4 to 6 weeks to provide parental care for its brood, fanning his eggs with his caudal fin to maintain oxygen levels. During parental care, nesting males are highly aggressive, defending their brood from brood predators like bluegill, who value bass embryos as an energy-rich prey item. Now, anglers are clued into the fact that nesting male bass are highly aggressive and therefore easier to catch, so they often target nesting bass when fishing in the spring. Anglers capturing a nesting male bass interrupt parental care, opening the door to brood predators while the male bass is being fished. In a comprehensive field experiment studying the effects of angling nesting bass, Natural History Survey researchers measured brood predation during an angling event and tracked how long it took each bass to resume parental care. After it was released, the longer the male was away from his nest, the red line shows an increasing probability that brood predation would occur, the green line shows a greater number of brood predators entering the nest, and the black line shows an increasing probability the male would completely abandon its nest within 24 hours. Now, during angling tournaments, fish can be held alive for several hours or moved great distances to be weighed, measured, and photographed. The longer a male is held in a holding tank or live well, and the further away from its nest it is released, the longer it takes the male to get back to its nest to resume parental care. When there are high densities of brood predators near the nest, predators begin consuming bass embryos sooner after the male is captured, and the combination of high brood predator densities and holding bass for longer periods is a recipe for strongly negative effects on offspring survival. Now, these negative effects might be mitigated by density dependence, which is the inverse relationship between offspring density and survival rate. The more offspring, the fewer of them that survive, and vice versa. The compensation hypothesis predicts that brood predation lowers offspring density, resulting in higher survival rates to the fall, which results then in similar numbers of young of the year regardless of brood predation. If brood losses were fully compensated for through density dependence, survival rates should be double in treatment ponds that had half their embryos removed. We do see higher survival in those treatment ponds, but not double what we saw in control ponds, indicating that parental care in part determines annual abundance of young of the year in the fall. Larger males tend to have more eggs in their nest, and males with more eggs tend to be more aggressive toward predators or fishing lures. When we look at brood size and aggression, we are examining a male's fitness and to understand how environmental and angling pressures can influence the evolution of adaptive traits. Generation after generation, more offspring of aggressive dads will survive to carry on traits for large size and large broods, but if anglers are preferentially capturing aggressive dads and lowering offspring survival, they are exerting a selective force in the opposite direction. Over 5 generations in 30 years, survey researchers have produced 2 lines of largemouth bass by selecting for vulnerability to angling. Bass from the high vulnerability line are more aggressive, provide better parental care, and enjoy greater reproductive fitness. Anglers targeting and capturing individuals with the greatest fitness interrupt parental care and limit survival of best fit offspring. The result is a case of fisheries-induced evolution, where future populations are less aggressive, nest defenders with lower reproductive fitness, lower offspring survival, and decreasing population abundance. This confluence of largemouth bass life history and recreational angling is an example of how evolutionary considerations are critical to the management of bass fisheries. Thank you.